So recording has started. So let's do the solution to our last assignment. I will share my screen with you guys now. So can we see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So from our last class, I think we want to do something like, okay, we want to do a money doubling system. Okay, that will tell us, do you want to enter an amount to play, then if you double it, then give us the result. So let's start from the scratch. So we can now see. So this will multiply the amount by 2. So print the results. Let's see. Oh. So just one, so now. So next, do you want to continue? So let's do that. Point. Do you want to continue? Okay, we can use inputs to do that. You can say inputs. Do you want to continue? Sorry, I think 1. Continue. 2. Start afresh. And 3. Terminate. So we can set this as a variable. So we can say if option is equal to 1, then double the value of amount and show us again. So if option equals to 1, amount times equal to 2, so it will double the value of amount and it will show us again. That we can say print just one place. So since we are doing this again, we can save this inside a function. The double money or money double. So this is our function called money double. Also, this is our function called money double. So if this equals to this, instead of doing this now, we can just say call a money doubler again. Money doubler. We can put this out so that it won't bring enter an amount to play again. So if option equals to 1, then we are calling on money doubler again. So it's going to multiply the amount by 2, then print out the results, then show this again. Then help if option is 2, then what they want to do, we want it to say enter an amount to play. So what you can do is we can save this in a function. The that's amount. So get amount. So we can now say get amount. So we can call on get amount now. Then we'll call on money doubler again. Then the third one, which is if option is equal to 3, we can say, we just print this result. Print. Oh, thank you for participating. So let's see what happens. We have amount is none. Then we have a function called get amount. When we call on this function, it will tell us to enter an amount, and if you call on this function, it will double whatever amount we enter here. It will double it, multiply it by 2, then print out this. Tell us, do you want to continue? Yes. If you pick 1, it will call on this function money doubler again. But if we pick 2, it will first call on this to enter an amount, then call on money doubler. But we pick 3 is to do this. So we can just start the whole process by saying, and just say get amount. Let's start with this. And just say get amount. Get amount, we do this, then we can now call on money doubler. Or better still, we can do something. Better still, we can even do it like this. So we only need to do this here. So let's see what happens here now. When we start the game, it will create a variable called amount, and the value will be none. We have this function. You will agree with me that it will only save the name of this function without running the codes within the function. Then we have this function. It will only save the name of this function, ignoring all the codes within this function. Then when it gets to get amount, so it will go back and call on this function and do whatever is there. So what that means, if you tell the user to enter an amount, whatever amount the user enters will be saved as the value of amount. After doing that, remember, amount is a global variable, so that it's going to automatically set this amount. Oh, I didn't set it as a global variable, sorry. Global amounts. Global amount. Okay, so amount is a global variable here, meaning that whatever you do inside this place affects this. It affects this. So when we call on this function get amount here, it's going to come back up here and run the codes here. Amount is a global variable. Then if you tell the user to enter an amount to play, whatever amount or whatever value the user enters will be saved as value of amount. Then this will now double it. This function money doubler will double it. So it's going to call on function money doubler, and again the amount we are calling here is the global variable. Amount times equals to 2, that is, this is the same as saying amount equals to amount times 2 is the same as that. So we can just shorten it to amount times equals to. So it's going to save the value, take the value of amount, multiply it by 2, and set it back as the new value of amount. Then it's going to print out this result, just one. Then it will concatenate this with this. Then it now asks us, do you want to continue? If you pick 1, it will, option 1 will do this. It will call on money doubler again, meaning it automatically do all of this again. If you pick 2, it's going to say start afresh. Start afresh will call on get amount. If you pick 2, meaning it will do this again. It will do this again. And if you pick 3, it will terminate. Say thank you for participating. I think one of those use you can have is this amount times 2. Remember, I told us that whatever you get using input is a string. So, and if you want to multiply it by 2, you just repeat it. So we can convert it to floats, so that the value of amount will be a number. It will be a floating number, so that this times 2 will be able to work very well as expected. Then what else? I think this is fine. Now, I come again, I take the whole explanation again. Amount is a global variable. At the beginning, there is nothing there. We have a function here called getAmount. Then this means that we are outside the global variable. Then this, whenever we call on this function, is going to go to this place, and whatever value we set here will become the value of amount with this global variable amount. Then it will call on money doubler. So that's what happens here. When it gets here, it automatically call on this function, gets value from the user, set it as the value of amount, call on money doubler. Money doubler here, we run all the codes here. What it's going to do is going to say amount times equals to, remember, is a global variable. So whatever is the value, whatever the value of amount is, it will multiply it by 2 and set it back. So amount will now be the new value. Then print, you just want this, give us this result. Then we have this option, continue, start afresh, terminate. If you pick continue, which is 1, it's a call on function money doubler again. It's multiplied by 2 again and do all of this. If you pick start afresh, it will call on get. If you pick 2, it will pick call on get amount, meaning it will do this again. Then if you pick 3, it will terminate to do this. So do you have any question as regarding the solution? Let's run it also and be sure that it's working as expected. Okay, inside Python class. So let's go to this tester and look for Python class. Desktop, Python class. Then and come here. Just want 10,000 error. So let's click continue. Just want 20,000. Let's click on start afresh. Enter an amount to pay. Let's say 25,000. Just want 50,000. Do you want to continue? Let's continue then. This time around, let's terminate. So it's working fine. Any question as regarding the solution? Do we understand the solution?
Yes.
Please, do we understand the solution?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Today we are going to today's class proper. Today we'll be dealing with Python lists. Python list. So let's do that here. What is a list? Look at something. Before now, we've been creating variables, but our variables, all the variables we've been created or we've created up to this point, can only store one value at a time. Can only store one value at a time. For instance, if I say value of variable a is 2, and I come here and I say a is 3, and I say print, okay, this will print 3. meaning this A is only keeping one value at a time. Before now, all the variables we've been using, they can only store a value at a time. But Python lists allows us to store many values inside a variable, inside a container. Remember, a variable is like a container. So Python list is like a shelf that allows you to keep many values inside that shelf. Just like a shelf like this, that allows us to keep a lot of values in that shelf. So you can keep as many values as you want in the shelf. Let's proceed. Now, in this shelf, the first value you place there will be at position 0. Normally, you expect that the first value should be at position 1. The second should be at position 2. The third should be at position 3. The fourth should be at position 4, and like that. But it starts its own counting from 0. Meaning the first value is at position 0. The second value is at position 1. The third value is at position 2. And like that. So it starts its own counting from 0. The first value is at position 0. Let's move on. So let's create a list. I can say, let's say, nums equals to this. This square braces makes Python know that this is a list. With this square braces now, Python knows that, oh, this is a list. So we can now keep items inside this list. Let's keep 3 items there. So note that each item is separated from the next item using a comma. Each item is separated from the next item using a comma. So in this list, I have 3 items. So one thing I also want us to note, as discussed earlier, this first value is at position 0. This is at position 1, while this is at position 2. But we don't call them positions. Instead, we call them index. So this is at index 0, this is at index 1, and this is at index 2. So index 0, index 1, index 2. Let's proceed. So if I want to see the value at index 1, I'll say print, the name of my list is nums, then I'll put square braces and put 1. So I want to see the value at index 1. What am I going to see if I run this code? So what are we going to see if we run this code? 6, correct. Thank you, sir. So we see 6. We see 6. So this is at index 1. If we want to see the value at index 0, we put 0, that will show us 4. We put 2, that will show us 8. So we only have, at the moment, we have 3 items in this Python list. Let's proceed. Next, I can, we've looked at an overview of a list. You can add more items to this list by saying nums.add, let's say 12. So this is going to add 12 to this list. It will add 12 to this list. So it's now, the 12 will be added here like this. So you are pushing an item, you are pushing this 12 into this list. You can also remove from the list. You can say pop. If you say pop, it's going to remove the last item. It will remove 8. But I can choose to remove the first item by saying pop 0. So this will pop out 4. It will remove the first item in the list. I can say pop 1. It will remove the index 1. It will remove 6. I can say pop 2. It will remove 8 from the list. So this pop will remove items. It's used to remove items from the list. But maybe you don't want to remove items based on positions. Instead, you want to remove specific items. What does that mean? I can say remove 6. So it's going to search through this list and look for where 6 is located and remove it from the list. So to remove 6, this remove, we remove 6 from the list. So there are a lot of methods, a lot of functions that we can use with lists, a lot of them. But we just look at some of them. How to add, how to remove. Those are the two major ones we'll be using. How to add and how to remove. We looked at how to add, look at how to remove. Now, having looked at that, we now want to look at something called loop. Loop. So we are going to stop list at this point. Then we'll look at loop. Then when we are done, we will now combine list with loop and use them together. We've looked at what a list is now. A list is used to store a lot of items at a time. You can add items to a list. You can remove items from your list. Now with loop now, let's look at loop, then we're going to combine them together. So a loop allows us to do something over and over again, to repeat something over and over again at a specific number of times. It allows us to do something over and over again at a specific number of time. We have the for loop and the while loop. So let's look at the for loop together. So that's because the meaning of let's say everything and let's take them one after the other. The first thing I will look at is this part called range. Range. When you say range, let's say 5. I will remove this for now. Range 5. What Python is going to do, range 5, if you say plain range 5, Python will create something that looks like this. Something like a list. We call it iterable, like a list. That starts from 0 and ends at 4, the number before this 5. Again, when you say range 5 like this, Python will create something similar to a list. Not exactly a list, but something similar to a list. That starts from 0 and ends at the number before this 5. So it's going to create something that looks like this. When I say range, it's again Python will create something like this that starts from 0 and ends at a number and ends at the number just before this. This is what range does in Python. Do we get the explanation? Please, are we together? Please, are we together?
Yes, yes.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. So, this is what a range does in Python. Next is this. We can now say for x in range 4, we know that this range 4 is actually something that looks like this: 0, 1, 2, 3. This is what range 4 is. So, what's a loop? Remember I said the purpose of a loop is to do something over and over again. So, we can now say, let's start with something simple like this. Hello. Print hello. For x in range 4, print hello. So what Python is going to do is this. Remember, range 4 is like this: 0, 1, 2, 3. So x will first be 0. This is what happens at the background. X will first be 0. Then Python will do everything. Here, it will print hello. When it's done, x will become 1. Again, Python will do everything here. When it's done, x will become 2. Then Python will do everything here. When it's done, x will become 3. Then Python will do everything here. Again, range 4 is this. It looks like this. X will first be 0. Then Python will do all of this. Let's say we have many lines. Print I. So let's say print good. So x will first be 0. Python will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. When it's done, since it's done with everything inside this place, it will come back again and change the value of x to 1. Python will print hello. It will print I. It will print good again. Then when it's done, it will change the value of x to 2. Python will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. When it's done, it will change the value of x to 3. Python will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. When it's done, it will attempt to change the value of x to another thing here. But since we've come to the end of this list, it will now stop there. Do you get it? So x will first be 0. It will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. When it's done, x will become 1. It will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. When it's done, x will become 2. It will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. When it's done, x becomes 3. It will print hello. It will print I. It will print good. So let's run this code and see the results ourselves in the terminal. So hello I good. Hello I good. Hello I good. Hello I good. Any question? Okay, let's proceed. Let's do another one again. For y in range, let's say 6. Print if I run this code, what am I going to see? So what will I see if I run this code?
Taiwo Abidakun is 6 times.
Good, thank you, ma. I'll see Taye Abidakun 6 times. Taye Abidakun 6 times. That's because, remember, I said range 6 is actually something like that looks like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is range 6. So y will first be 0. Then it will do what we have here. It will print Taye Abidakun. Then y becomes 1. It will print Taye Abidakun again. Y becomes 2. It will print Taye Abidakun again. Y becomes 3. It will print Taye Abidakun again. Y becomes 4. It will print Taye Abidakun again. Then y becomes 5. It will print Taye Abidakun again. Since we've come to the end of this place, it will stop there. So let's run it in the terminal and see the results together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any question before we continue? Let's look at one more example before we leave this part, before we proceed to something else. So I'll come here again and say for maybe z in range 500, something like this. Print Python is simple. So this will print Python is simple 500 times. Remember, in 500 we start from 0. Then 1, 2, 3, it gets to 499. So when 500 is 0 to 499. So z will first be 0. It will print Python is simple. Z becomes 1. It will print Python is simple again. Z becomes 2. Python is simple. Z becomes 3. And on like that, it gets to 499. So when we run this, we are going to see Python is simple 500 times. So we have all of this. Let's now proceed to something else. Let's take a step forward. So we've seen how to use the range. Next, we can now do something. We can combine this range with list. But before we do that, we also need to look at something very important. For x in range, let's say 5, print x. Let's look at this. Remember I said what it's going to do is this. Range 5 will give us a result that looks like this. So x will first be 0. When we say print x, it will print 0 because that is x. X will become 1. Then print x to print 1. X becomes 2. Print x it prints 2. X becomes 3. Print x it prints 3. X becomes 4. Print x it prints 4. So this is going to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can proceed to do something like this. Let's convert it to string. X plus times. So let's see what happens here. Range 5 looks like this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. X will first be 0. It will print strx, meaning it's going to convert whatever the value of s is, it will convert it to string so that we're able to concatenate it with times. So it will print 0 times. Then x becomes 1. strx, that is st, to convert that 1 to string, that becomes 1 times. Then x becomes 2. Print it 2 times. X becomes 3. 3 times. X becomes 4. 4 times. What's going on? Unexpected index. Okay. I think something is wrong with mine. Oh. So we have this. 0 times, 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So if I want to say, I can say, you can write whatever you want here. You keep doing it over and over again till it gets to the end of this, till it gets to the end of this place. So we've looked at we've looked at range now. We now want to combine range with list. But before we do that, please, do we have any question whatsoever on what has been taught tonight? So let's now go back to what we did at the beginning of the class. We had a list that looks like this. Nums equals to 4, 6, 8. I mean a list that contains 4, 6, 8. We can now say for x in nums. We can say for x in nums. Remember, this is the same as just copying this and pasting it here. For x in this. So x will first be 4. Then it will do what we have here. Then it will print hello. When it's done, x becomes 6. It will print hello. When it's done, x becomes 8. Then it prints hello. So this is going to print hello 3 times. Hello 3 times. Again, x becomes the first value in this place, which is 4. It prints hello. X becomes 6, the second value. It prints hello. X becomes 8, then it prints hello. So for x in nums, this is going to print hello 3 times. Let's run it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so the norms, is it still working? That norms you define, that list you created with norms, is it still working as a range value?
No.
Because I was expecting, okay, for hex in norms that maybe it will be picking each numbers, since we're not using range.
Okay. Now,
I don't know if I'm getting what you're saying.
okay.
So
Thank you, ma'am, for the question.
thank you.
The logic behind it is this. It's just the same way we had in range. Look at say this way, man. You can say, let's say range 4 like this. Let's ignore this for now. Range 4 actually looks like this. Range 4 looks like this. 0, 1, 2, 3. This is range 4. X will first be 0. Then, after it will print hello. When it's done, X becomes 1. It will print hello. When it's done, X becomes 2. It will print hello. When it's done, X becomes 3. It will print hello. So this is going to display hello 4 times. This still exists here. This, like say, puts in this here, but like I said, the range is not actually a list, but it looks like a list. We call it list, and some other things are called iterable, that we're going to look at later. A range looks like a list, but it's not exactly a list. But for now, we are going to be using them interchangeably. So this is an iterable. A list is also an iterable. Something you can loop over, something you can iterate over, like loop over it. Then X will first be 0. This is like copying all of this and pasting it here. X will first be 0, then it will print hello. X becomes 1, it will print hello. X becomes 2, it prints hello. X becomes 3, it prints hello. But if we want to see the value of X at any point in time, we can always display hits plus X. So this prints hello 0, because X will first be 0, it's going to print hello 0 for the first one. Then X becomes 1, it will print hello 1. Then X becomes 2, it prints hello 2. Then X becomes 3, then it prints hello 3. But since it's not going to allow us to concatenate, since this is an integer, we can just convert this to a string. So this prints hello 0, hello 1, hello 2, hello 3. So if you come here now and just change this to num, sorry, nums, since that is our value, the name of our variable. For X in nums, again, this is like copying all of this and pasting it here. X will first be 4. It prints hello X. X is 4, that is hello 4. Then when it's done, X becomes 6. It prints hello 6. Then X becomes 8. It prints hello 8. But maybe we don't want to use the value of X, we can just say hello. So this is going to, X will first be 4. That doesn't change that fact. X will first be 4. But since we are not using the X inside this place, it will just print hello. Then when it's done, X becomes 6. Then since we are not using X here again, it prints 6. It prints hello, just hello. Then when it's done, X becomes 8. Then it comes here and prints hello. So this will just print hello 3 times. Do you get it, man?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's run it. Just say Python index.py. Hello, hello, hello. So we can say, like we did the other time, we can just say strx so that we can see the value of x. Hello 4, hello 6, hello 8. Any question again before we move on? So this allows us to do this.
Hello.
Sir?
I have a question.
Okay, sir.
I can see that you have been putting values
So,
inside the. I can see that you have been putting values, only values,
yes, sir.
inside the brackets. Can we also put alphabet,
Can we put?
alphabet instead
Oh,
of?
Okay. Yeah, okay, yes, we can put Taiwo, put Kenny on this. So with this, X will first be 4, then it will do what it says, it print LO4. When it's done, X becomes 6, it will print LO6. Then when it's done, X becomes 8, it prints LO8. Then when it's done, X becomes Taiwo, it prints LO Taiwo. Then when it's done, X becomes Kenny, it prints LO Kenny. Thank you, sir. Is there any other question? You can put Boolean if you want to. And do all of this. So you can do all of this. So X will first be 4, then 6, then 8, then Taiwo, then Kenny, then 2, then first. You can put all this data type there. We can now say maybe if X is equal to Taiwo, but instead of printing X now, you can say print can I say I just something like this. So if X is Taiwo, print R, else print X. So let's see what happens here. X first be 4. Is 4 equals to Taiwo? No. It won't do this. It will come to the else part. It will print 4. Then X becomes 6. Is 6 equals to Taiwo? No. It will not come to this place. It will come to the else part. It will print 6. Then X becomes 8. Is 8 equals to Taiwo? No. It will not do this. It will come to the else part. It will print 8. Then X becomes Taiwo. Is X equals to Taiwo? Yes. It will print ha. Then X becomes Kenny. Is X equals to Taiwo? No. It will print Kenny. Then is X becomes 2. Is X equals to Taiwo? No. It will print 2. Then X becomes false. Is X equals to Taiwo? No. It will print false. So we're going to see 4, 6, 8, Kenny, 2, false. Okay, I just want to see that we can use that with what we've learned thus far. 4, 6, 8, Kenny, 2, false. Let's move on. Any question to this point? Next, we've seen that how we can use our list with the loop. Now, before we go deeper, we're going to stop here tonight, and I'll give us an assignment. But before we do the assignment, let me give us what I think will help us to solve the assignment. I can say variable A equals to input, or type a number, So we can now say for maybe X in range A. Note that this will be a string as we've discussed earlier, so we can convert it to an integer so that we're able to use range successfully. So let's assume the user typed 7. This becomes X in range 7. And you know that range 7 looks like this. You know that range 7 is going to look like this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So type a number. Let's assume the user typed 7. So it's going to look like this for X in range A. Now range A will now look like this. For X in range A will look like this. So what we want to do, we can now say print hello. print hello. So this is going to print hello 7 times if the user typed 7 here. Let's assume the user typed 8, it's going to print hello 8 times. Do you get the logic behind it? Whatever the user types becomes the value of A. So that this becomes for x in range A, and we know that range A looks like this. So let's assume the user types 7 as discussed. So it becomes this. X will first be 0, then it prints hello. S becomes 1, it prints hello. S becomes 2, let me use, sorry, it's going to look sorry. S becomes 0, it prints hello. S becomes 1, it prints hello. S becomes 2, it prints hello. S becomes 3, it prints hello. S becomes 4, it prints hello. S becomes 5, it prints hello. S becomes 6, then it prints hello and stops there. So let's run this. So the results together. Type a number, let's say I type 12. So this is 12 times. Hello 12 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have this. We can run it again and type another number. Sorry, let's go to the terminal. Type a number 4. Hello 4 times. Do we get this explanation? Do we get the explanation?
Yeah, it's okay for me.
Okay. So whenever I want to do something repeatedly, we use the loop. It's going to repeat it over and over again. Now to our assignment. We want to do a voting system. A voting system. So when we get to the application, it's going to ask us how many people do you want to
Hello. Hello.
You can't see what you are writing. Okay.
I'll see now.
Can we see my screen now?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
So we want to do a voting system. A voting system. So when we get to when we run it in the terminal here, when we run Python index.py, it's going to first ask us how many people had here, something like that. How many people are here? Then you type a number. So let's say I typed 10. So for each of them, it's going to say, are you voting? Let's say I typed 10. It will now ask me, are you voting for Taye or Kenny or Ido? So now, like we have 3 contestants. That's the default on the device, on the system. We have 3 contestants. We have Taye, we have Kenny, we have Ido. It can say maybe better still. We can just say 1 for Taye, press 1 for Taye, press 2 for Kenny, and press 3 for Ido, something like this. So meaning if I type 1, it means I'm voting for Taye. If I type 2, I'm voting for Kenny. If I type 3, I'm voting for Ido. Again, when we run it, it asks us how many people are here. Let's say I type 10, meaning I want 10 persons to be able to vote. After that, it will now bring this 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Ido. So let's assume I typed 1. Let's assume I typed 1. So just tell me, okay, thank you for voting. Thank you for voting. Then it will now bring it again. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny. It will bring all of this again. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Ido. It will bring all of this again. So let's assume I type Taye again. It says thank you for voting and bring all of this again. 1 for Taye till it gets to 10 times. Because remember we said we have 10 voters. We have 10 voters. So when we run it again, let's start again. When we run it, first ask me how many people are here. Let's say I type 10. It will show this 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Ido. If I type 1, it will say thank you for voting. Then it's bring it again. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Idowu. Let's assume I type 1 again. It will say thank you for voting. Then bring all of this again. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Idowu. Let's say this time around I type 3. Again, it will tell me thank you for voting. Thank you for voting. Then it will say 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 till it gets to 10 times. After the 10th time, that's it will now tell me thank you, voting has closed. After the 10th time, voting has closed. Taye has, it will now tell me the number of votes. That is the number of people that typed 1. Taye has, then it will tell me the number of votes on by Taye. Let's say 3. Kenny has, let's say 4. Idowu has, let's say 3. Do we get it? Do we get the explanation? Let's go again. When I run the page, how many people are here? How many people are here? So let's say I typed 5. It's okay. So next, it's going to say 1 for Taye, as it type 1 to vote for Taye, type 2 to vote for Kenny, then type 3 to vote for Idowu. So let's assume I typed 2 to say thank you for voting, meaning it has registered that person's vote. Thank you for voting. Again, it will now bring this line again. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Idowu, meaning it's expecting me to vote again. So let's assume I typed 3. It will say thank you for voting. Thank you for voting. Then it will bring it again. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Idowu. Let's say I typed 2. Say thank you for voting. Thank you for voting. Again, to bring this. 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Idowu. Let's say I typed 1. So thank you for voting. Thank you for voting. Again, it will say 1 for Taye, 2 for Kenny, 3 for Idowu. Let's say I type 2. So thank you for voting. Voting has closed. Why is this saying personal? Because I've done this 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I voted 5 times. Remember, at the beginning, that's just for the number of people there, and we said 5. So that's why it's doing this 5 times. So it's now say voting has closed. Taye has. Then it will now count it. How many people voted? Typed 1. I think only 1. Taye has 1 vote. You can just do this to make it this. Kenny has, how many people voted? 2. 1, 2, 3. Kenny has 3 votes. And Idowu has 1 vote. Then you can do this like this also, but I won't have to bother about singular or plural. Idowu has 1 vote. If you like, you can even let us tell us the winner. You can even, but I just believe it. Sometimes you might have 2 persons might have the same vote, so don't let us go into all of that for now. So if you just tell us this at the end of the day, do you get the task at hand? Do you understand what you have to do?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to stop here tonight, and please, I will also upload the video to us after. I will send the recordings to us after the class. We are currently recording the class, so you can watch it if there is any part of it that you don't understand. We've looked at we've looked at loop, we've looked at functions, we've looked at variables, we've looked at data types, and this task will require all of this for you to use all of them together. But any question based on what we've done so far?
Are we done with function?
For now, yes. The only thing the only reason why we go back to function is if we want to remember I said after the whole thing we're going to go back to return keyword in order to use that return keyword for algorithm questions. So for now the only thing that will be taking us back to function will be because we want to go back to return keyword, but for now we are done with everything we need to learn on function.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So any other question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, so we have from now till next week Monday to get the task done. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming to class. Have a lovely night, rest.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Good night.